When it comes to Canadian food, we've got your back with flavors like lemon pepper, beer batter, campfire barbecue, lemon pepper dill, garlic butter and chives, and crispy Cajun. We've got a mix for every meal. Whether you're serving East Coast shrimp, West Coast salmon, succulent walleye, chicken wings, or veggies, we've got you covered. Coat your food in outdoor flavors. Available online or at these fine retailers.
Well, Cameron Tait's in the house. How you doing tonight, Cameron?
Hey, good. How are you?
Fantastic. Living the dream one day at a time. You know, we should actually officially get Outdoor Flavors to sponsor this episode.
Darn right.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Just watching that video, I just got flour.
Hey, you know what? And there's no shame in flour. You know, our forefathers and foresisters certainly use flour on a regular basis and have paved the way for folks like Outdoor Flavors to, you know, step it up a notch. And now they've turned flour into incredible seasoning. So it had to start somewhere. So what we're doing is we're going back. We're going to take it back to the days of flour and our yesteryear.
What a segue.
Don't ask me to say it again. There's no way I could do that twice.
Boy, that just flows so nicely. You know, you're almost like a poet.
Yeah, and I honestly don't know it, but you know, it's been a while since we've seen you. I was pleased to hear that you were out fishing on the weekend.
Yeah, it's funny. What was it? It was a long weekend, so my wife said to me, she works Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and she said to me on the Saturday, she sent me a text and she said, "Hey, do you want to go fishing tomorrow?" And I was like, I don't know who this is, but she's pretending to be my wife if she wants to go fishing. So I said, sure, I'm going to take you to a spot. Last week, we caught 40 walleye. We caught one over 28. We caught 26s. We got a pile of like 23s, you know, 20s. And the time before that, you know, we boated, three of us, about over 100 walleye. So I said, I'm going to go to the same spot. So I'm going to put you on fish. You're going to have loads of fun. Your arm is going to be sore by the time you get back. We caught one walleye.
Oof.
And so I'm just going to lay down the excuses right now. So there was, the nets were out and we were kind of fishing kind of in between the nets. It was quite a windy day. It was a heck of a walleye chop. We had about 4-footers that we were fishing in. The water wasn't that murky, but the walleye were not there.
Wow. Well, you know, it has been an interesting year. It's been great for some. It's been a tough fish for others. I think, you know, more importantly, it's just best to get out in the water and enjoy the outdoors. The weather has I feel anyway, cooperated. We have had lots of wind. Big windy, as you can well attest to, is unforgiving, you know, even with just a puff of air. But for the most part, you've had good weather. It's been a great summer. I can't believe Labor Day has come and gone. Where did it all go?
It's crazy, you know, but the whole thing about fishing, and yeah, we are fishing in 4-foot waves. I do have a good sized boat, but it's be smart. Like, don't put yourself in a situation that you're just going to say, geez, how did I get here? You know, and how am I taking on water? And so it's all about driving to the conditions, boating to the conditions. We're really close to shore. We're literally within about 2 minutes of covering, getting behind cover. And, you know, also if your guests or your wife or your husband or whatever does not do well in waves or wind or anything else, don't stay out there. And the funny thing is I can fish in 6-foot waves, 4-foot waves, no problem. But as soon as I bend down and I go on my hands and knees and I start tying and stuff like this, boom, my equilibrium is thrown off like almost within 5 seconds.
So Steve, Tony, Terry, Larry, how you doing tonight? Glad that you guys joined us. Do you have the same problem that Cameron does when you're in big swells? You can look out at the horizon and it'll never bother you, but as soon as you start looking down at something and you're focusing on something right in front of you, all of a sudden the seasickness starts to kick in. Who else has that problem?
You know, and my wife used to be a pilot, and she would do crazy, you know, maneuvers and gliders and stuff like that. And it's funny because she said, "Oh boy, I just sort of looked down, and when you're really going like this," she said, all of a sudden I felt seasick, you know. And I said, "Yeah, I get that too." And sometimes when, you know, I'm fishing in tournaments, you just gotta suck it up. And I just try to have all my rods rigged for all different kinds of situations that I wouldn't have to try to retie and be looking down in some pretty nasty weather.
Interesting. Well, Steve Shaw, yeah, every time Steve admits, I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there that are just like that. But one thing we are not going to be sick of is you're continuing to dazzle us with delicious dishes. And I know I concede, I have to apologize. I butchered tonight's recipe and how it's pronounced. Please, can you correct me and make it so that everybody understands what it is that we're going to be seeing tonight?
Yeah, so it's a typical, like, it could be a trout dish, it could be a walleye or a pickerel dish, but it's a Meuniere. So a Meuniere. You said, what did you say?
Meuniere.
Yeah, like a marinara, yeah. And
marinara, yeah.
With the Meuniere, it's a balance of like a seared fish with flour, cooked in butter. It can only be cooked in butter. And it's kind of like a Bernoisette. And I tell you, I tagged Esnagami Lodge in my post. I think I did it this morning. Eric and Sue Lunder, the owners there, and I went there last year. And he did an amazing shore lunch. I'm not saying this. I'm not just saying this, but the perfect balance of heat and cooking with butter, you know, it can turn on you in an instant and it can burn. And that's where, you know, a lot of people will use, you know, oil because there's milk solids and whey protein that will burn. So it's all about temperature management is really, really important. And I've got this fry pan over here. I've got another one heating up, but I'm going to show you how to use this type of fry pan, lots of surface area. I'm by myself with my dogs that were totally bored out of their tree. So anyways, I'm just going to be doing 2 fillets for 2 reasons. That's the only fish that I caught on Sunday, and I'm by myself. So if I cook 4 fillets, they definitely won't be eaten tonight, and then they'll go in the fridge, and then they'll go behind the pasta and the other leftovers, the chicken chili, and so I hate wasting food.
Well, there we go. We're not going to waste food based on tonight's dish, which includes walleye that is just freshly caught this past weekend. So in order to start out, there you go. So you're going to be cooking this fish with the skins on. Is that by purpose?
No. So I just wanted to show that, you know, there are dishes that you can use the skin on walleye. It has to be descaled. It's really not hard, and you know, having a crispy skin walleye. I think I did a dish in the spring for Just Fishing. It was done on a barbecue, sort of with peppers and onions. I'm trying to remember, but scaled, skin on, scored. It's amazing. So you can have because trout is done this particular method, floured, seasoned, floured, cooked in butter, and the skin actually crisps up. And it's actually a really nice, it's a nice presentation, and it's a really nice taste as well.
Mike,
I'm just gonna take this off.
So Mike Howard just mentioned, I'm looking for a new recipe for coho. You just mentioned that this isn't just for walleye. You can do this with a lot of fish species.
Oh yeah, and it does. Yeah, it's very versatile. It can go with a lot of different things. it is so simple, and that's what I was saying before. The simplicity of the dish, and I was thinking last week what kind of dish I was going to do, and there's no garnish, there's no fancy stuff, there's no fancy sauces or rolled up Vietnamese, blah blah blah. You know, this is just fish, butter, white wine, lemon juice, a little bit of green onion or parsley, and then that's it.
So Tony's asking, is there a trivia question tonight, Scotty and Cameron? Unfortunately not, Tony. So there goes Tony. No, we've got lots of prizes to give out for our fall brawl that's going on. We just gave out a whack at the CFN retreat, so our reserves are low. We are going to be building it up shortly, hopefully, and we will start with some trivia questions going forward. But for right now, we're trying to gear up for the fall brawl and make sure we got lots of prizes for all of our participants. So Tony, I might suggest that you go out fishing, catch a fish, enter it in the fall brawl, and that'll probably be your best chance of winning a prize if he's still here.
So I know the camera, it's on the pan, and we were having a little bit difficulties before, so I'm not moving anything. I'm not touching a thing. So we've got our walleye fillet, and this is roughly, you know, around a 4-ounce fillet, so it's really nice. I've taken out the pin bones, and this dish is going to go really, really quick. I was preheating a pan, so let's get that one over there. How does that look, Scotty?
That looks fantastic.
Well, you're impressed with everything. You're impressed even with an empty pan.
Well, buddy, you know, because I know that when it's full, I know what's coming. I'm like the dog on the floor. You just can't wait for droppings.
Hey, are you hungry? No? Okay.
Sort of.
Can you see her there? Oh, yeah, you can.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Are you hungry? You want some food? Okay. After. Okay. So, again, heat management is really, really important. I'm just going to put this on like a medium heat. And this is an amazing dish, you know, when the butter and everything cook really nice, and it's called a beurre Meuniere. A brown butter sauce. So it's a beurre noisette. I'm getting my French mixed up. So a beurre Meuniere is actually flour and butter to thicken a sauce. But a beurre noisette is a brown butter sauce. And sometimes, you know, people have a pasta or a gnocchi with a beurre noisette. And, you know, all it is just the butter, when it gets to a certain point where the solids start to color and basically they start to caramelize.
Interesting.
Okay, so I've got some flour. I just did an article. Remember last Monday when I was, you know, I said to Jim that Tammy had picked the recipe for the magazine, and that was funny. He yelled out to no one because Tammy wasn't even there, right?
I know, and you know what, the one thing that Jim will never lose, I don't think. He'll be cracking jokes from the grave, that man.
Yeah, and I laughed so hard when he said that, and he's being the tough guy, but Tammy wasn't even there. Anyways, so kosher salt is what I use almost for everything. You can really control how much you put on there. An iodized table salt, and I think I've said this before, I use it for like blanching pasta, cooking vegetables, and to melt ice on the driveway. You know, it's not a good cooking salt. It's terrible. Okay, so the pan is actually just a little bit too hot, so I'm going to turn it down. And when I say that I was impressed by Eric doing this in a great big, it was probably like a 24-inch campfire fry pan, you know, with about 12 walleye fillet in there and perfect temperature and everything. I was super impressed. So
well,
what you're going to do
is that a testament to how easy and straightforward this recipe is, or just how good Eric was?
He was really good. This is a recipe. Yes, it's the simplicity of it is sometimes the challenge, but he's been doing it for 31 years last year, and even how he filleted the walleye. I came back and I talked to Sandy and I said, I've done a lot of fish in my time, and at work, and also just cleaning fish. The way he went over the rib cage on this side, and he flipped it over, and he actually took his knife and he kind of went away towards the tail as an initial cut, and then he went over the rib cage again. And like I said, I've been doing fish for my whole career. I was impressed how good he was doing it. No bones. And another trick in which I did with this one here, and I asked him, why don't you wash the fish? Because we cleaned the fish, we got it all ready to go, and then he put it right into the flour. And I said, well, why don't you wash it off? And he said there's a natural stickiness, to the flesh itself, that the flour sticks better and it doesn't clump up. So if you wash it, you can even towel it off, but the nice sticky kind of, it's almost like a pellicle, when you're smoking meat. He said the flour adheres better and it doesn't clump up and it cooks nicer. So I was like, bravo.
Now, would you recommend at that stage bleeding out your fish if you're going to take that approach?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So typically what I do is, in the boat before we leave, I'll bleed them out. And sometimes I'll just sort of slab them and put them on ice because sometimes garbage day is until like 6 days later or whatever. And sometimes it doesn't smell that great after like 6 days sitting in the sun. But you have to leave a certain portion of the skin on for transport.
Right.
So a CO officer can identify the fish and identify the length of the fish to make sure that everything is done legal. Okay. So another mistake that some people do, they'll leave the fish in the flour too long. So what you want to do, one side, over on the other side, shake off the excess, and then pretty much like right into the pan. Because what happens, if you could see, you see all the flour on there. It's too much. You don't want, what do you want to taste? You want to taste the fish or you want to taste the flour?
Yeah.
So now what I'm going to do is, some people, would freak out, this is how much butter I'm going to use. So it's basically about a 1/4 inch slice. And this is only for 2 fillets. You can see it here, okay?
Oh, yeah.
You see that? It's too hot.
Oh, yeah.
Take it off for a sec. I'm talking too much.
No, it's good.
And you always want to have the right size pan. And sometimes, I see that when you're doing something like this, and this is a size like that, it's only for 2 fish, 2 fillets. But if you're doing 4, then I would do this size. It's a lot bigger. So surface area of the pan is really important. And I know if I rush this, I'm going to burn it. You got a joke?
No. No. Now, what about cast iron? Do you prefer cooking with or without cast iron?
Cast irons, it's amazing, for a lot of different kinds of applications, and take care of it. Don't let water get into it. Season it well. And I got maybe a dozen cast iron pans that I use, not all the time, but okay. So yes, it's melting, but we don't want it to burn right away. So we're going to put the fish in. So it's on a medium low. Just let it do its thing.
Yep.
Can you see that it's like just slightly turning a hazelnut color there?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I've got this, it's a Chardonnay wine. It's a black cellar. It's really nice. So for something like this, typically what I do is, so I've got the juice of 1 lemon. So it's basically about 1/8 of a cup. So it's 2 parts wine to 1 part lemon. And it obviously it varies, you know, when you're doing larger amounts. Let's take a look at this. So you see how it's sort of foaming up, and it has that nice sort of like, it's kind of like a hazelnut color.
Yep.
It smells really good.
I can imagine.
And this is how simple this is here. Just let it do its thing. And you don't want to put the sauce in. So basically it's the white wine and the lemon juice together. And that's going to build together, you know, with your butter and also make the sauce after. So let's take a look.
Ooh.
So, you know, you don't really want to cook it any more than that. I talked about in this, it was an article that I wrote for In Fisherman last winter. And I'm just going to turn this up slightly now. And it was about cooking on the campfire, and it's all about temperature management. And it was funny, you know, you can learn so much from, you know, everyone on YouTube. And there's this one guy, and he works for Bon Appetit magazine, and he's a hilarious guy. But anyways, so he's got this barbecue, an open fire kind of set up, and he's got roaring flames and fire here, and then he's got like another grill that has a few coals and stuff like that in it, a lower temperature, and then he's got another one that's a little bit of a higher temperature on these racks, and he's got them on these stones. And what he does, you know, from time to time, he'll take, you know, one of the logs and he'll pull it underneath, you know, this one, or pull it under this one, to kind of balance the heat, but never under a really heavy fire, because, you know, things will burn almost instantly, right? You know, so heat management is really, really important. Okay, so again, so there's only, what are the ingredients? So you've got, you know, flour is ingredient, salt, pepper, butter, lemon juice, white wine, almonds, and parsley. That's it. This is going to be my supper.
Well, as straightforward as it gets.
So to test, a lot of people know how to test, you know, a fish, and when you push it, you know, if it compresses but it doesn't sort of flake, it's not done yet. And towards the tail, it'll always be done sooner. So you see that one starting to break apart here.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
So that's starting to break here. But towards the end over here, it's going to take a little bit longer. But this is a perfect temperature right now of what we have. And you see how it's sort of like turning sort of a hazelnut kind of color. That's delicious. Exactly what you want right there. Okay. And the one thing that a lot of people will miss as well is not seasoning the flour, not seasoning the fish. And when you taste it, you can actually just taste fish and flour. You don't taste a seasoned fish, if that makes sense.
Now, you wouldn't necessarily want to season it because you're trying to put certain things with things tonight that go together. So if, you know, no offense to any seasoning spices out there, but you want to stick to something that is just straightforward for the dish that you're doing, correct?
Yeah, we're not putting sun-dried tomatoes. We're not putting basil. We're not doing, you know, any of that. It's basically just, you know, a white fish cooked in butter and white wine and lemon. That's it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so as I'm testing over on this side here, it's just starting to flake apart. So I'm going to take this, pour that in. And then the French call this monte or au beurre. So you're basically mounting it with butter. And yes, there's butter in here. I'm sure you've had worse things today. And so all you're going to be doing is, as you're swirling this, all right.
Hold all my calls.
I'm sure they want to clean my furnace or clean my carpets or whatever. Okay, I'm going to turn it up a little bit here. And so now all I'm going to do is add in some green onions. And then some toasted almonds.
Oof.
And just like that, the dish is done.
That's it?
That's it. This dish is done.
So from start to finish, this dish literally took no more than 10 minutes.
Yeah. And that's what I really want to teach. And it's funny, like last week, I'm thinking, what can I do for, a dish that people would be really interested in? And I just said, go back to basics. Don't, it doesn't have to be super fancy. I did a dish, actually, I just sent it to Tammy 2 nights ago. It's a baked pesto basil walleye. So you get walleye and cherry tomatoes, basil, olive oil, garlic, salt, pepper, zucchini, sliced zucchini in there, fired in the oven, hot oven at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. Take it out, put some Parmesan or mozzarella cheese on, and it's done. And it's done in a cast iron pan. It's a 1-pan dish, and it's super simple. But this is even more simple than that. Simpler. So let me put this in a bowl. 1 second.
And we're extremely lucky that we're able to share Cameron's crafts and abilities here on CFN and through Just Fishing with Jim McLaughlin's publication, and has been doing so for so many years. Because really, look at this.
So really, you can get this in, an upscale restaurant.
Look at that.
And that's it.
Holy smokes.
So, yeah, it's got butter in it. Who cares? It doesn't have preservatives or anything else in it. It's got a nice color, a nice smell with the toasted almonds. Everything marries really well together. And don't be afraid to try, something like this and not having something that is like a fried fish. I love fried fish, but I can only have it so often. And especially when you're doing a shore lunch, when you're stopping for a little bit, especially if it's hot out. And if it's in the summertime and you have like a fish fry, for me, maybe I'm a little bit different, but I feel so lethargic after and sleepy and sometimes a little gross of all that grease that you've ingested. If you have a really good guide, they'll know exactly the temperature to have the oil so it's not soaking up like a sponge. But even if you have fries and beans and like home fries and stuff like that, and fried fish, it's heavy, so this is a nice alternative.
So for 2 fillets, you use basically a 1/4 cup of butter. We'll just recap some of the ingredients because I can't believe how easy this was.
So it was the juice of 1 lemon.
Juice of 1 lemon.
And you've got 1/4 cup of butter, and you've got about a 1/2 cup of white wine. A white wine. This is a Chardonnay. And then salt and pepper, and a little bit of sprinkled green onions, and a little bit of almonds. That's it.
Larry's asking a great question, and I think I already know the answer. Could you substitute apple juice for the white wine?
You could, if you don't drink or if you don't consume alcohol. Let me just think here. An apple cider vinegar would be a little bit nicer than that. But yeah, you could do apple juice. Why not? Let's get crazy.
As we do every time you come on here.
But
that's crazy.
Orange juice would be even a little bit better, to be honest.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Wow. Well, I'll tell you,
So how simple was that? I think that's just a real simple explanation. Right temperature, flour, butter. Don't use margarine. Sear it just sort of a nice sort of a golden brown. Flip it over, let it do its thing, and then pour your white wine and your lemon juice. Sprinkle some almonds, parsley, green onions, and you're done.
And that's what it looks like when you are done. And holy smokes. Well, listen, I don't want that to cool on you. I'd be doing you a disservice by not allowing you to eat that while it's warm. Cameron, as always, my friend, you come on here and as I said, you set the bar very high, but also very low for a lot of us who may not have the culinary skills you do. But we can be culinary geniuses because of what you show us. So again, on behalf of all the CFN, dude, I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, my pleasure. Just a little quick recap. Even you saw when I had the other pan, and then I could feel it, and the heat is radiating off. And I took a little piece of butter like this, and I went, oh, too hot. Don't put that in, because from the moment that you put that in, you've either burnt your butter, or you go, oh my god, I got to put the fish in. Now you've got burnt fish, where just take it off, let it cool down a little bit, and even if it's a little bit cooler is better than too hot. If
so less heat, yeah,
it'll. And a lot of people, they panic, go, oh, I got to get this in right away. You don't have to. Just take it off. And what I typically do is, I'll have the rice ready maybe and some vegetables, and those are sort of holding. And this one here, like I said, it's a 5-10 minute, sort of thing. The fish, like this, is the most important thing. In a way, who cares if the rice is a little bit cooler or the vegetables? You want to make sure that your main item always is really nice and hot and fresh.
Wow. As I said, you make it look so darn easy, dude. It's incredible. I have to ask, when could we possibly see you back here next?
Great point. So fishing this weekend. I got to start packing tonight, and I got to do some sharpening. Next weekend, I'm going to Lake of the Woods, hopefully, for the weekend. And then actually in the week of the 21st, I'm taking a week off holidays. Thank goodness. Hopefully going to be doing a lot of fishing, and I might be doing a last minute tournament, a one-day tournament on the Red River. We'll have to see. And I'm also trying to get in some hunting, some bird hunting, and that's I'm on the outskirts of Winnipeg here, and there's birds loaded in these fields, but you have to get permission to hunt on those. And the good thing this year is I haven't fallen off the ladder yet, so I've got a good shoulder, and everything is all rehabbed from my accident last year, my Christmas lights debacle.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting the Christmas lights up this year.
I can't imagine why.
I might just sort of like drape them over the front banister and just plug them in. I'll just leave them in a ball, maybe in the crates, and I'll just plug it in.
Well, perhaps maybe you could just flip a coin, heads or tails. Brennan or Madison put them up.
Yeah, that's a hell of an idea. Thank you. I'm gonna tell them that.
Right on. All right, dude. Well, listen, as always, thanks so much for joining us and showing us that we can all be culinary geniuses in the kitchen, even when we don't know what the heck we're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Right on, brother. You take care.
You too.